There's nothing quite like a good rivalry in the NFL.
Do you consider the Chiefs, even though they're not in your division, Taryn, your primary rival in the NFL today?
It's hard not to look at them like that.
There are a plethora of rivalries that will take over the league's landscape throughout the next 10 years. So here are 10 such rivalries that will dominate the NFL over the course of the next decade. Kansas City Chiefs and Buffalo Bills. Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen are arguably the two best quarterbacks in the game right now, and that may no longer even be debatable by the time Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers are out of the picture. The rivalry officially kicked off when the Chiefs and Bills met in the 2020 AFC title game, which resulted in a lopsided victory for KC. A year later, the two squads would meet again at Arrowhead in the divisional round, with Kansas City winning arguably the most exciting game in NFL history. It's one thing to have Mahomes and Allen, but the Chiefs and Bills also have two of the game's best front offices and two grade A head coaches in Andy Reid and Sean McDermott. Mahomes and Allen are lucky to be with organizations that have succeeded in building all-world rosters around them, and it should stay that way for quite a while. We may never get another QB rivalry like Tom Brady versus Peyton Manning, but if there were two current quarterbacks who could create similar buzz every time they meet, it would be Mahomes and Allen. Los Angeles Rams and San Francisco 49ers. The NFC West has been a gauntlet for a few years now, but the Rams and 49ers look poised to stay on top, ahead of the Arizona Cardinals and Seattle Seahawks, at least for the next 5 or so years. Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan became head coaches of their respective teams when they were still in their 30s. Both are renowned for their brilliant offensive minds, and both worked in Washington under Kyle's father, Mike Shanahan, when he was the head coach in DC. Rams and 49ers combined to win 3 of the 4 NFC Championship banners between 2018 and 2021. The Rams, of course, went on to win Super Bowl 56 2 weeks after they defeated none other than San Francisco in the conference championship game. The McVay-Shanahan history, the interdivision rivalry, and the whole Battle of California thing has made this a juicy rivalry. And that's before you even consider all the star power on the field when they meet. Both teams have similar identities on defense, as they rely on resilient and ferocious pass rushers like Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd, Nick Bosa, and Eric Armstead. And beyond the pass rushers, you have guys like Fred Warner, Jalen Ramsey, and Bobby Wagner, who are always looking to lay down the boom on the opposition's top playmakers. And speaking of those playmakers, both teams have plenty of them on offense, from Cooper Kupp and Matthew Stafford to Deebo Samuel and George Kittle. All those big-name stars involved in one rivalry? Hey, sit back and enjoy the show for the next decade. The best part of this rivalry is still yet to come. Dallas Cowboys and Philadelphia Eagles. The Cowboys and the Eagles are the only teams in the NFC East who are at least somewhat relevant and competitive on an annual basis. Even if you're among those who believe the Cowboys will keep falling short of expectations, you know their upcoming showdowns with Philly will carry major postseason implications. Dallas versus Philly has been one of football's most heated rivalries for a while now. To add insult to injury for Eagles fans, longtime offensive lineman Jason Peters signed with America's team just ahead of the 2022 season. Because sometimes an intense rivalry needs some extra spice added to it. Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Dalton Schultz, Tyron Smith, Micah Parsons, Trayvon Diggs, and Zach Martin round out the nucleus in Dallas. The Eagles possess Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jason Kelce, Darius Slay, Jordan Davis, and Nakobe Dean. There is plenty of talent, young and old, on both sides of the football for these two clubs. And thanks to the incompetence of the Giants and Commanders, Dallas and Philadelphia promise to exclusively battle for the majority of the NFC East Division titles over the course of the next decade. Indianapolis Colts and Jacksonville Jaguars. This rivalry may seem bland to non-Colts and non-Jaguars fans, and yes, we're talking about two small market teams that don't exactly have large national followings, but hey, hear us out. The Colts are led by head coach Frank Reich. Meanwhile, the new-look Jaguars hired Doug Peterson to take over following the toxic Urban Meyer era. Well, it just so happens that Reich was Peterson's offensive coordinator in Philadelphia for 2 years from 2016 to 2017. And of course, the Eagles won Super Bowl 52 during that latter season. Reich's work as the OC landed him the Colts head coaching position after Josh McDaniels bowed out at the last second. So now Reich gets to go up against his former boss who helped him get his first head coaching job. And while Reich has built a strong foundation in Indy, OC, Peterson is trying to revive a Jags team that has endured non-stop losing over the past decade. The Colts have a top-tier offensive line and a superstar running back in Jonathan Taylor. If Peterson unlocks Trevor Lawrence's potential, and I'm confident that he will, the Jaguars will have a potent offense of their own. DeForest Buckner, Shaquille Leonard, Travis Etienne, Josh Allen, and Trayvon Walker also add more intrigue to this booming rivalry. I know it sounds silly to say now, but just you wait. Colts versus Jaguars will be must-watch TV twice a year before you know it. Buffalo Bills and Miami Dolphins. This rivalry has lacked fire ever since Jim Kelly and Dan Marino retired, but those who grew up watching the Bills and Dolphins in the 90s should be more excited than ever about a revival of this classic AFC East feud. Because, for once, both franchises are officially relevant again at the same time. The Bills are now an NFL juggernaut, and the Dolphins are trending up following back-to-back winning seasons in 2020 and 2021, and a very busy offseason in 2022. Buffalo is loaded with star power on both sides of the ball. On offense, you have Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, Dawson Knox, and James Cook. Miami can counter all that firepower, though, with Tua Tagovailoa, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Chase Edmonds. Both teams feature lots of young and veteran talent on defense as well. Tre'Davious White and Xavier Howard are two of the game's premier shutdown corners, so it's gonna be fun watching them go head-to-head with all those star wideouts on the other side of the ball. The Patriots are no longer the AFC East bullies with Tom Brady out of the picture, so does this mean we'll have Miami and Buffalo vying for division supremacy over the next decade? Well, if Tagovailoa proves to be the superstar we had envisioned some years earlier, then that answer is yes. Allen versus Tua. Let's go, baby. Detroit Lions and Green Bay Packers. Because of their long history, the word rivalry remains attached to the Lions and Packers. But this has truly been a one-sided rivalry for over a quarter century now. Green Bay has been a constant winner dating back to the start of the Brett Favre era, while the Lions have been a laughingstock with 0 playoff wins since 1992. But the Lions are finally building something special under head coach Dan Campbell and GM Brad Holmes. They're well on their way to building a scrappy, resilient, ultra-physical squad. And it appears as though they're mainly focusing on their offensive and defensive lines to provide that identity first and foremost. The offense is looking real good too, though, with TJ Hawkinson, DeAndre Swift, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Jameson Williams leading the way. Once the Lions find a true franchise quarterback, they will be ready to contend with Aaron Rodgers and company for the NFC North crown. The Lions have given Rodgers some fits over the years, but Green Bay has barely had any challengers within the division since 2009. If Detroit can land a superstar QB, their rivalry with the Packers promises to be one of the NFL's best throughout the next decade. Las Vegas Raiders and Los Angeles Chargers. If you love classic rivals that feature a ton of offense and little to no defense, then boy do we have something for you. The Raiders and Chargers had a heated rivalry back in their days of playing in Oakland and San Diego, respectively. The relocation hasn't done much to cool things down, though. Las Vegas and LA feature offensive machines consisting of Derek Carr, Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, and Darren Waller on one side, and Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Austin Eckler on the other. What more can you ask for? Their win and you're in Week 18 showdown last year was arguably the best regular season game of the 21st century. And it certainly has us wanting more from these two teams. We know that Patrick Mahomes' Chiefs are the class of the AFC West, but the Raiders and Chargers have made several win-now moves to close that gap. Even if KC continues to dominate the division, Vegas and LA should still be neck and neck in the wildcard race, just as they both were in 2021. Carr has several prime years left, and Herbert is just getting started. This rivalry might just reach its historic peak over the next 10 years. So grab your popcorn and enjoy the show. Cincinnati Bengals and Cleveland Browns. Since the Browns' reactivation in 1999, both Ohio-based NFL teams have mostly struggled to stay relevant. But finally, at long last, that is about to all change. In Joe Burrow's sophomore season, the Bengals managed to win their first playoff game since 1990. Then they went all the way to the Super Bowl, just narrowly falling to the Rams. But at least they are finally relevant again. The Browns ended an 18-year playoff drought in 2020 and won their first playoff game since 1994. They feature one of the league's most stacked rosters owners and Jimmy Haslam and company believe that the controversial QB Deshaun Watson is the final piece to their championship puzzle. The Bengals are absolutely loaded on offense with Burrow, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, Tyler Boyd, and T. Higgins. Cleveland has Watson, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, and Amari Cooper, with room to add even more weapons over time. The championship windows of both clubs should stay open long-term, meaning this interstate rivalry should be entertaining theater for years to come. Baltimore Ravens and Cincinnati Bengals. For as good as the Browns look on paper, they have not been the consistent contender that the Ravens have been under John Harbaugh. But now Lamar Jackson and company have to deal with the new kids on the block, aka Joe Burrow's Bengals. Joe Flacco and Andy Dalton gave us a handful of memorable moments, but Jackson and Burrow are way better quarterbacks. So it's fun to think that this rivalry hasn't even peaked yet. Cincinnati boasts the NFL's best receiving trio, but Baltimore has the NFL's deepest secondary, anchored by Marlon Humphrey, Marcus Peters, Marcus Williams, and rising superstar Kyle Hamilton. So this chess match alone will be must-watch television. The core players on both teams are young and just entering their primes. Funny to think that Jackson won an MVP award in his age 22 season, while Burrow wasn't even drafted until he was 23. I'm sure there will be plenty more MVP awards down the road for both men. Consider yourselves lucky that you'll get to see them duke it out at least twice a year for the foreseeable future. Kansas City Chiefs and Los Angeles Chargers. Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert are two of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL right now. We were gifted with 3 thrilling one-score showdowns between the two sides through Herbert's first 2 seasons, including 2 overtime thrillers. Mahomes has the better coaching staff and supporting cast around him, but Herbert alone will always give the Bolts a chance. Adding Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson to the defense goes to show how determined the Chargers are to defend against Mahomes and the KC's vaunted attack. But will Mahomes and Reed just keep finding ways to break the Bolts' hearts? Or is Herbert the guy to finally end Casey's lengthy run atop the AFC West? You don't usually have a division with 2 squads that feature all-world quarterbacks with a bunch of star power complementing them. The Chiefs and Chargers should be perennial Super Bowl contenders over the next decade plus. So put our names down for front row seats to take in this riveting rivalry, please and thank you. But which other NFL rivalries will dominate the next decade? Join us in the comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton. And hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.